welcome to the LEC post-game lobby where I'm joined by Guldborg and Dylan Falco. Dylan, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats. 2-0, fast 2-0. I want to say, was this the prediction you guys had anticipated going into today's game? Because there's going to be some ups and downs and slip-ups with G2. So
I think the official G2 prediction for today was Koi quick 2-0 into G2 quick 2-0. So I was pretty happy that it went exactly as we predicted. So I thought we played pretty well today for sure.
You guys definitely did. Guldborg, any take on the series itself and game 2 also? The early game didn't go maybe as expected, especially some individual misplays, I want to say, but in the end, the composition from G2 just took over.
For sure. I think quite confidently today I said 2-0 for G2 as well before we headed into it. And I think just game 2 was probably the biggest surprise to me. Also maybe the most exciting ones. Still some slippery slopes every now and then, but very entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, we came into today, Dylan, talking about red side especially because yesterday was mostly about blue side wins. How did you reflect on yesterday's game and how did you refine the approach drafting on red side?
I think yesterday we lost our game on red side, but looking back on the draft and our preparation for that match, like the draft was just really bad. We had, I think, Xayah into a really long-range composition, and we also picked Silas into a really long-range composition where we could not do that much. So we just tried to react more to the enemy picks today, I would say.
I was actually going to ask as well, because I have a slight theory right now that blue side, of course, isn't OP. I think it's very team dependent right now in terms of like who has what power picks. Like if they're really bot dependent with like Ashe and Heimer, then red side has a power pick. What do you feel like the take is on the 2 side right now?
So I think when there was a lot of Heimer picks, we had a lot of very clever red side drafts that we didn't actually even use a lot of the time, where you can use the fact that you have 2 picks instead of 1 for really contesting bot lane combinations. But I think in almost every meta in the history of League, blue side has actually won slightly more. I think it's just really easy to see a small string of games and feel like red side is advantaged. That being said, if you have a counterpick player, like for example, we had the Olaf today into Sejuani and Cassandre, which is really good. So you can make use of that on red too.
Yeah, definitely good for Olaf to have melee matchups. I'm curious as to how the meta has evolved, GB, since the adjustment on the patch, because we were not expecting things to move that much, but we've seen not a shift in new picks, but more in priorities of picks. And I'm thinking about jungle maybe not being drafted.
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of openings that we really haven't seen just yet. I still think, I'm putting it out there, I still think there's room for Samira every now and then in specific composition down towards bot lane. But I also think the biggest impact we've seen is probably Yike on the Lilia as well, who's taking advantage of it. We've seen a few buffs on the champion leading up to this, but now as well going into this patch. It's a really good champion to go against other champions like the Sejuani, for example. I don't think necessarily Sejuani is bait. I think it was meta, and then the meta was figured out. Here comes Lilia, and then that's like how it goes when you get to play the same patch for a longer period of time.
I completely agree. And you mentioned Samira. It makes me...
It's going to happen. Just wait for it.
I really think it's going to happen, and I really think Hans Sama could be the kind of player to play Samira.
I don't think my AD is very good at Samira. No, like, he's
no.
If you check his solo queue, he like never plays it actually.
Right. Never check Hans Sama's solo queue, of course. But he's good on Draven once again. What do you think of Hans so far, and especially on this cat of champions?
Hans Sama, I was expecting to get the best ADC in Europe when I learned I was working with Hans Sama this year, and he's, I think, surpassed all of my expectations. It's not just his skill or his aggression, or that he can play champs like Draven and just carry the game. It's also how he leads the team, both in and out of the game, and is disciplined and a hard worker, and just gives everything, to make himself and the team win.
I think it shows completely, and G2 is ramping up here in the LEC, and we'll see them next week against Koi, which is a rematch of the summer finals. We're not going to talk about how it went last time, Dylan, but you guys are a different beast, it feels, this time. How do you approach this game and anticipate it?
The loss in summer finals last year still hurts. It still hurts, actually, because I still feel like we were really strong that split. We beat them, and then we lost in the finals. Would love to get revenge, and I think it's a really exciting matchup. I think they're very good. They 2-0 both their sets, looking very strong. I still think we're the best team. Of course, I'm going to be confident going into next week, but it should be a good one.
Yeah, the format can change, but script really doesn't. So, Koi versus G2 in the upper bracket, you got to see it.
I'm really excited, actually. I think it's going to be one of the most hype matchups we had so far. But let's not forget that on the lower part of the bracket, we're also going to have Mad Lions versus Vitality, two teams that we saw today as well. Any quick take on how you think this one's going to go, GB or Dylan first? Yeah.
I mean, I can go first as well. I think right now that both teams clearly have some weaknesses that they need to work on. I think Mad Lions of times have 5 really good individuals, but I think specifically in the mid game, they struggle at times to bring those 5 individuals together and execute on a really good game plan. I think the same happens with Vitality, where they have really good players individually, but at times I think there are better plays they could commit to rather than the ones they actually commit to. But I think it's just like legit VOD review and go home. I think it's like fine brushing to really see their full potential. But for now, I do see a few struggles from both of them.
Would you agree on this, Dylan?
We have like a real guilty pleasure of watching Vitality games here at G2 because like it feels like every single game goes to Elder Drake, and it's always going to be a banger no matter what. I really like the fact that Vitality is actually willing to try and make carry junglers work this week. Maybe it didn't work too well. Today in particular, I think especially with the state of Radiant Virtue and tank jungles, like you need to really be creative and confident to draft like that, and I respect it. But it's going to be interesting, right? Bo was playing all tank junglers, and then they were winning, and now he was playing a bunch of carry junglers. It didn't go so well, but he also carried some games as well. Like the Kindred games were crazy, so I just don't know what they're going to play, and we're really excited actually to watch.
But specifically, Perks and Bo versus Elyoya and Niski. You know, it was
That's
nice seeing Yike and Caps versus Niski and Elyoya today. I feel like those two who loves battling it around the mid lane, it's going to be really exciting to watch, specifically because how it went last time where Bo and Perks was almost 2v4 in the mid lane in the early game. It was crazy to watch.
And this will be the match for Sunday, but on Saturday we'll also have BDS and Astralis. Any take on this one maybe also, GB?
I think BDS played pretty well against us yesterday.
Yeah.
The games were pretty competitive, more competitive than, to be honest, I thought they would be. So I would probably give them the edge. Yeah.
I think as well, like, there's a big weight on the bot lane of Astralis to stand up to Laprov and Crowny. I think they're top 3 for me in the bot lane right now, currently. I think as well for the 2v2 in the mid lane, where they on 1-1-3, they will have their work cut out against them. Specifically, I think Shio has been really impressive as a rookie coming into this split. So he's a guy I'm really excited to continue watching.
Definitely. And the winners of this series, of course, will face off against Vitality and the Mad Lions. And yeah, again, first best of 5 of the season will be on Monday, G2 versus Koi. You definitely don't want to miss this one. And we were talking about aggressive junglers and more tanky junglers. I want to talk about drafting as G2 as it is, because some years back, we heard the whole "we have to go Vayne" from Caps. I know that you have players who like to bring some wacky picks sometimes and just be creative. And I was just curious as to how do you, as a coach and the coaching staff, manage to implement all of your players' crazy ideas to make them work and let them be creative?
So you have to imagine when you see like a crazy pick from us on stage, this is one of the ones that I say yes to. What nobody, I think, says is like, for every yes, there's like at least 5 or 6 no's, and they get pretty wild for sure. It takes a lot of thought to really cheese pick, or even like I was saying before, play carry junglers in a Radiant Virtue meta. We need to really look at the scenarios and make sure we can win 3v3s, make sure we can win 2v2s. So it's a lot of work, and then sometimes the drafts, especially the ones where our plan is to explode the game in 5 minutes, when those games fail, it looks horrible. It looks like our plan just makes no sense. But there's always a reason. We always have a plan, even if sometimes the plan is really crazy. And we try and really think it through and really understand the crazy picks that we want to pick.
But it feels like it really got to be a luxury as well. Rather than you having to come up with all these picks, it must be a luxury having too many to pick from, to the fact where you know you can just shut them down and then make specific picks works as well.
I think we also have like our analyst Rodrigo. He does a lot of research on like patch data and stuff, and sometimes he'll just find these champs that nobody knows are OP, and they're just broken. So we can really use that to gain advantage in draft.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, you mentioned Rodrigo. I want to talk about the whole coaching staff at G2, because we see it usually during the coach camps. There's a lot of people with you, Raf, Romain, Rodrigo. I know that this is something, of course, that you thought of during the off-season, and I want to know a bit more about how everyone works together at G2, and how would you describe the team culture for this team?
Yeah, in addition to Raf and Rowan, we now have Ismail, a full-time performance coach, a sports psychologist working with us. We just try and make it so all the players need to worry about is their performance, that all of their food, their sleep, what they need to play, how they need to practice. Their practice environment is just completely handled by us. I think we do a really good job. I really, really love all the people I work with, and I think it contributes, right, to our success.
Yeah, definitely, definitely does. And it shows in game. I think the Guldborg, we don't see all the teams having the same approach when it comes to bringing a lot of people. But I'm just wondering, sometimes maybe there's such a thing as having too many voices sometimes for sometimes.
Oh, for sure. But I also think it comes down to different atmospheres that you build up. Some will definitely thrive with having more ideas to come through in a good, positive discussion, to have them around. More people are very passionate about their own opinions. And if you have too many people with very passionate opinions, it can get heated. But then I think it's about having that one person who really understands how to drive that conversation to bring the most out of their people.
I think the reason it works well for us is because although like some teams just have like 5 drafting coaches, for example, that's not something we are interested in or want to do. Like we have people that have clear roles. Like for example, I handle the strategic direction of the team, and it's me. We don't need 5 or 6 people to do that like some other teams. So, yeah.
What I think that is interesting is that sometimes you see teams, let's say, hiring players to form a team without maybe actually thinking of how these players are going to work together. When you chose to work with Hansama and pairing him with Mickey and bringing Yike in the jungle, what was the goal for you, and how did you approach this team, and what it would look like in the future, if that makes sense?
We spent a lot of time scrimming internationally last year because we attended both MSI and Worlds. And what we wanted to build is something we felt could compete internationally. The main issue, I think, with our roster last year is, although I think we were probably the best roster in Europe, we lost finals, so I guess Rogue as well. We weren't aggressive enough. We weren't able to play aggressive enough. We weren't able to play fast enough. And those are the types of players we look for. The other thing is, like, when it comes to personality and how people fit together, I think we have an amazing group. But I also, a little bit, am a fan of just trying to get the most skilled players. And having a good staff system to kind of make them work. I think sometimes when these super teams fail, to be honest, it's because some of the super names aren't actually as skilled as their names are, you know?
That makes total sense, actually, and I think that's also why G2 has been working so well so far. GB, when you think of G2, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to why the team works? How would you describe them?
The first thing that came into my mind was crazy.
That's really interesting because it's always been like this. Like, regardless of the iteration of G2, it's always this craziness that prevails.
I have the kind of analogy that G2 is ebb and flow. I thought that Yike was the perfect. I followed him a lot in the LFL, and I thought for Yike, there's 2 positions he could be put into. You put him into a team like Mad Lions, who want to develop young talent, or you put him into a team like G2 because already in the ERLs, Yike had picks he was very adamant he wanted to play. If he wanted to bring out the Car6, I thought it'd be great to see him in a team where I knew a coach would say, you want to play Car6? I'll give you a chance at playing Car6. If there's a good argument for it, I want to see it. And that's why I thought he was such a good fit into it, because G2 has freedom to allow players to go for these kind of plays, freedom to say, Dylan, we need to go Vayne, and all of these things, right? So that's why essentially it's so cool to watch them, and it's so great to see that you want to go for something that's aggressive, because I think you pair together players who are passionate about wacky plays you don't see often, who can then also be very aggressive with them. That's how you catch other teams off guard. And then sometimes you get too aggressive, you get too wacky with your picks, but there's a fine line to thread.
Or sometimes just Maokai Kassadin, level 16.
Easy peasy.
That's very fun.
Scaling the name of the game.
Yeah, scaling to win the game. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what else you have planned for the rest of the playoffs, Dylan. But so far, a great start from G2. I really like the way the team is developing as of now. And I think that's all for us here from us tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Congrats again on winning against Koi. Rematch of the finals next week. Looking forward to seeing this one. GB, thanks again for joining me on the desk today.
Pleasure.
And we'll be back on Saturday for week 5 and the next round of the winter group stage. We'll see you then. Have a great week, everyone. And we are going to take the PGL selfie now with the new device that we have.
It was my idea, by the way, and I love the fact that
idea. Yeah, I mean, I actually love it. It's good memories. Come in here.
I don't know if
Let's
I'm
go.
in frame.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Let's go.
Shrimpy closed his eye last time, so hopefully both eyes are open
it's going to work this time. Again, thanks everyone for following the LEC, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll walk into them. Can they kill me? I doubt.
Actually, be careful,
Oh.
Sure.
No, I don't think they can kill me yet.
Okay.
Cloud.
Okay. That's a
Guys, take
solo
1
move.
minute.
Thank
can't prioritize him. They can't keep the damage to stick, and Comp just shreds through Vitality.
Jungle, the light sleeps tonight. Let's go, guys. Let's boost that red side win rate up.
Photon trying to see if he can maybe make something work here. Does have Ghost popped and no real way to try and stop it. Oh my god, breaking his ankles right there.
I think I'm dead, okay?
Yep, baby.
Jonas has no flash, but has ult.
I got this.
Oh, I think you're right.
In a 2-0 fashion, and they're gonna look damn good doing it.
I might actually
Okay, it's bad, maybe bad.
I'll jump out.
Okay, he ulted. We can go after,
Yeah.
Big slow. We can go, by the way, we can go soon.
I can flash.
Look here, look. It's good. I'm fine. I'm huge. Okay, go. I hit
Kill them all.
Keep going.
Coming in from Broken Blade. Now it's a two-man sleep. Ult on the backside means Draven gets a massive cash in. They need Niski's damage. Broken Blade just going to run at Niski because he knows if he kills Niski, they do not have enough damage to kill him. They're trying to burn through his health bar as quickly as possible, and it looks like they should be able to take him down. But the Olaf is so tanky. Olaf just refuses to die. He just keeps going. What is his champion? And it is so clean from the side of G2. What a turn.